Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, as it is finally Friday, folks, you made it to the near weekend, but we're going to cruise you right into the weekend with a lot of things like previewing the weekend of sports, of course, getting into some Razorback football. You have that going on. You also have some Razorback baseball even. You know, they played today. I don't know if you knew that, but very important stuff there. We'll get to that as well as some basketball stuff happening this weekend. It's the best time of year when it comes to sports, and we're going to be talking about it all and, of course, get to your chats and all of that great stuff. But fellas, it's Friday. It's nearly the weekend. How are the vibes here on this Friday?
My vibes are good, man. I don't know if I can speak for some of the other folks around the state that seem a little bit, I don't know, antsy, a little bit anxious, a little bit upset today. Man, whether you're pro Bobby Petrino or against Bobby Petrino, the closer and closer we get to his first game as interim head coach, people are starting to say how they feel with their chest, man. That Brandon Marcello article got people going. I tweeted something out about John Summerall, who had a not very impressive, but still a win last night. And a bunch of people are saying, we don't need that. We don't need that in the program, man. We've been seeing all that kind of stuff. We need a winner, a proven winner. It doesn't matter who we talk about right now. The people are picking their sides and they're digging their heels in. It's getting crazy. And we still got like 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks left of this before we know anything at all. It's going to be crazy, man.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, Curtis. I also saw a few people that took the post-game clip from Summerall, and they were like, this is the type of attitude that I want to see as the Razorback head coach. And so, again, it's one of those things, like you said, you're going to make how you feel known, and you're going to see whatever information you see. It's just going to confirm how you feel. It's definitely not going to update or change how you feel. I have noticed that there has been like it seems like everyone is rushing to make it clear where they stand on this Bobby Petrino thing, which I understand because that's kind of what we do here on the show a lot. But what we've been saying all week is like, I just don't know if now's the time to do that. Like, this thing is going to play out, and like, we're going to see. And so however you do feel, whether it's super strongly in favor of it or super strongly against it, you have a very good chance. Like, if you are very worried and you think Bobby Petrino sucks, like, then they will lose a lot of games and we'll move on. And that's just kind of how it's going to go. So I don't know if now is the time to dig your heels in. Let's just maybe see what happens, and then we can adjust accordingly. But is that just something we're not going to do?
I mean, listen, I'm with you guys where it's like, it's okay to have certain coaches you want, and it's okay to have certain coaches you don't want. It's okay to look at a guy and say, man, I want this guy as my coach. And it's okay to say, man, that guy would be terrible and all that. But I think, like we talked about yesterday and maybe really all week, it's the angst of like, this would be an unmitigated disaster and set the program back a decade if you did this, when it's just a little over the top. And, you know, with the Petrino angle, because that's really what we're talking about here, the guy hasn't coached a game yet. You know, it's not like he's 0-2 or 0-3 and people will be like, nah, man, he still needs a job. He hadn't coached a game yet. And like you said, Andrew, it's going to play out. It's going to work itself out. You know, do you trust the administration? Do you trust people involved to make the best hire? That's another conversation. But this idea that the Petrino situation, he's already hired. He's gotten the job. We're just wasting time. And, you know, the more of these puff pieces that come out about Petrino is just sad. And it's like, man, it's not really like that. And I don't understand why people feel like that's the case. I thought it was a brilliant article by Brandon Marcello as well as John Talty from CBS Sports, because it just told a story. It wasn't campaigning. It wasn't saying this is why he needs the job. It's a really fascinating story going around with Arkansas and this Bobby Petrino angle. And his first game as head coach, where he's going to run out there with the team as head coach, is happening tomorrow. So it's just a story is all it is.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good read. I enjoyed it. Brought back some memories, whatever. You know, I think what's happening here is there were people that were excited about this since the day Bobby left, even people that felt like he shouldn't have been fired and should have kept him. You know, the program was heading the right direction. Nobody will be able to bring it back to where it was besides the guy who got him there. And so some people just already have that built in them. But then the flip side of it, the people who were very adamantly against it, maybe they're, maybe they're turtle doving just a little bit here going, man, I don't know, that Tennessee defense, it does have some holes in it. Like Xavier Story said, I don't know, man. Maybe Arkansas could do something crazy here, and they're getting nervous about the prospects of what if Petrino and these Hogs do something cool, and then this whole narrative, which might seem a little bit far-fetched right now, becomes more closer to a reality that he could actually be a contender here for the job. And so they're digging those heels in the sand even deeper and letting it be known exactly how they feel. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. I can't wait for this game tomorrow. That watch party with, like the combination of touchdown Arkansas and people were pumped up and fired up about it versus, well, I guess we'll just remove the damn interim tag now. Just move on. Why even do the song and dance? Like some people are going to be actually upset about it. I love this stuff, man.
Yeah, I love it too. One of my favorite things that happens on this show is people wonder why we discuss certain things. If we're having a conversation about basketball, wait, why are y'all talking basketball? Why are y'all talking about this? And a lot of times it's very easy for us to explain that. But I thought that Brandon's article shed a lot of light into why this is such a popular topic, why this is such a, an emotional conversation, why this is such a unique situation for Arkansas fans. And the way that, the rest of the nation feels about Bobby Petrino is one thing. Hog fans feel a little bit differently. And that's not to say Hog fans are right. It's just that's why this is a delicate, unique situation that we really just don't see much. And so everyone feels how they feel. And again, you're not like wrong for feeling how you feel. Like I see the case for everything, but you got to understand why this matters in a different way to Arkansas fans and why it's going to be a very different, like if this were happening at another school, it's a completely different conversation. But at Arkansas and knowing kind of what Bobby represents to the state, that's very important context for this whole discussion. And so it kind of reminds me of when we're going back to the Dan Wolken thing of like, oh, I don't understand. Like, I mean, he's a proven head coach. You know exactly who Bobby Petrino is. Why would it even be a discussion? Why are y'all even talking about this? Why is there discourse? Well, that's why. Like, there is a lot of very important context, and that context is not going to help Arkansas win games these next 7 games. Make no mistake. Like, and to the point we've been making all along, that context does not mean he should be the coach no matter what. That context does not mean he doesn't have to win, but it's why all it's going to take is just a few wins here before you really have a state that starts believing and buying into the Bobby Petrino thing, and that scares a lot of people, and maybe it should, but it is a fascinating situation that really you just don't see play out ever.
Well, and to your point, Andrew, it's like that motorcycle wreck, that whole fiasco. Have we ever seen really anything like that in sports? I mean, we've seen some scandals happen and firings, but that was an extremely unique thing where you had a coach who was getting it going, who was winning at the highest level the program had seen at Arkansas, coming off an 11-2 season, returning a lot of the players from the previous year. Was top of the top. I mean, I would make the argument at that point in time, Arkansas was considered to be a top 10 program in college football. Not overall, just saying in that moment, because they had back-to-back years where they finished top 10, and that's how people were viewing them. And then it all came to an end, not because of coach retiring, not because of something, some tragic accident, or it came to an end because the man who is the head coach was riding a motorcycle with someone on the back of it that was not his wife, that was a woman that he hired to work for him, and he lied about it. That's a very insane, crazy story, and you all remember how crazy it was. It's so crazy that there's still, to this day, people that will dress up as Bobby Petrino for Halloween with the neck brace, which shout out to Coach Mike Neighbors, who still has that neck brace, apparently. But it's like, that, as crazy as that is, think about how even crazier it is where he's the head coach again. Like that's, so you got to take it all into encompassing of, man, this isn't just a random thing of like, what are we going to write about today? Or what are we going to talk about today? This is boring. Well, this Petrino thing, I guess, is kind of, whatever. We'll just make it interesting. He's like, no, it's a very unique thing. And if Bobby Petrino and Arkansas gets their taints handed to him tomorrow and lose by 50 points, then you know what? People are probably going to stop talking about it and probably stop talking about the uniqueness of it. But until we see what happens on the field, and I'm not saying we is just us, I'm talking about everybody across the country, then it's mysterious and interesting. It's just what it is. It's an interesting thing that people are going to be watching. And I promise you there are going to be a lot more people watching the Arkansas-Tennessee game than what they probably were before, just because of like, oh yeah, Bobby Petrino, let's see what this guy's got. Let's see if he still got his fastball out there as the head coach of Arkansas.
No doubt about it, man. I just want to be entertained. I want to have a reason to be intrigued and looking forward to watching this and looking forward to talking about it every single day. And this is an angle that not many people in our position get to talk about. Well, really nobody. I mean, it's just such a unique story here. And, people can feel however they want to feel about it. And if people thought that it was like a propaganda push or whatever from Marcelo today, we've got a Dan Wolken article that you can read that that is the polar opposite there. But the reason why this is such a an interesting topic is because of how polarizing it is, because there's people very much on either side of the fence and not a lot of in between. But I kind of feel like that's where we fall. With this whole deal, it's, I'm really interested in, and I think I've said it. I know I've said it to you guys. I don't know if I've said it on here or not, but I think best case scenario for this football program moving forward would be an entirely clean slate. I think that's where how you're going to get to where you need to get a new coach, some new administration, new people in charge, new players. I mean, just like tearing it down and starting over if you want to get to that new level, right? But the thought of Bobby Petrino having success and, this becoming a national story and a cool narrative and everything like that. Yeah. Sign me up for that too, man. That's great for business. So it's very interesting to see all the conversations about this. Even when if they weren't playing Tennessee, I know Tennessee's a really good football team. They could be playing Mississippi State or something this week. And you've got Bama, Mizzou, and whoever the hell Georgia's playing, Georgia, Auburn. You've got all these big games across the country. People would still be finding time slots on their shows to be talking about Arkansas and Petrino's return as interim head coach. It's a big deal.
You know how we live in this in this world of gotcha culture where we always have people that do the tweets. So it'll be like update, and they're like trying to like kind of hold you accountable at all steps of the way. I've seen from both sides of the equation here. I've seen people in our chat that have said, if Bobby starts winning 3 or 4 games, y'all are going to feel really stupid for talking about other coaches, because we were having a conversation about Summerall and Golish and all these guys, and they said, man, you're going to feel really stupid if Bobby starts winning games. You're going to feel stupid for talking about other coaches. And then I see SEC Mike today, who, you guys view as like a huge Hog guy, and he says, man, Arkansas is going to lose these next 2 games by a combined 50 points, and y'all are going to feel really stupid for talking about Bobby Petrino. I just don't understand that sentiment. I just don't understand it whatsoever. Obviously, if either of those things play out, it will change the conversation. But it's like, it's no different than if you're going into a game against like the number 1 team in the country. On this very show, we would be doing segments of like, hey, what if Arkansas wins? What would that mean? What are the stakes? What could a win in this game mean for the program? If they don't win, it doesn't mean that we were stupid for having the conversation. It's just, we talk about the context. We have a show every day where we talk about Arkansas sports. We analyze the stakes, and then we adjust based on what we see, and that's what we're going to do. And so I think that's it. It kind of comes back to everyone feels how they feel, and they like are mad at other people for not feeling that way. And it's like, one, we don't like, nobody even knows. Like you said, Curtis, you think the best way to go is a clean slate, which would not include Bobby Petrino. I kind of lean towards the same thing. I am just also fascinated by this thing for all those same reasons. Like, this is a very big deal, and I still think it's worth having that conversation of like, hey, what if this turns out this way? That's just what you do when you're going into a big thing. It doesn't mean if it doesn't go that way, we can't change how we feel. I don't know why people are so like touched by this conversation. Like, it's a very like polarizing thing, and I get that, but it's like there's a lot of anger on the internet today, man. It's crazy.
Well, I know you guys are big J journalists, and if I was a journalist, I already have, if Arkansas was to win this game, I got the title of my big J journalism story, Red Dead Redemption. Red, Arkansas, dead, because the program's been dead since, and the redemption of Bobby. Yeah, you're welcome. You can use that, Matt Jones or whoever. But either way, the point is that people love redemption stories. We all do in sports, and this is a redemption story. I don't care what anybody says. You may not like Bobby. You may not like what he did, but it's a redemption opportunity. And, I know we've talked about it, but it's just, seeing him when he got emotional at that touchdown club years ago. And just, that's not even the article even mentioned about it. I can't remember if it was DJ Williams or which player talked about it, but they're like, that's not something that Bobby just does where he just gets emotional talking about something. Like, that was a real emotion about how sorry he was that it went that way. And to me, that's like kind of the coolest thing about this is, looking at it from his perspective, like, this is a chance for him. This is a chance for him to kind of make things right. And does that mean he needs to go 7-0 to make it right? No. Like, does that mean that he has to beat Tennessee tomorrow to make this right? No. All he's got to do is just, put in all the effort and do everything that he can. And not only just for this season, but also if he wants to become the head coach, he's going to put that in there and put that motivation in there and then just do the best he can. And I think that's because this is something that we've been told, hey, no one wants the Arkansas job. Arkansas is not. Well, Bobby Petrino does. And where you're at right now, that's what you need for the interim is you want somebody that wants this job and is going to work really hard to get the job. And because here's the thing, if you had some other interim in there that you're like, hey, you have no chance of getting the job. So what do you think they're going to do for the next 7 games? Cruise control, just collect a check and not care. But it's like with Bobby, though, he's like, I want the job. I'm going to work hard for this. So let's see how it plays out. Again, redemption story would be cool. And just think how cool it would be if Arkansas did something crazy and won a few games. It's like, man, how awesome is this that this guy who your program has not been the same since because of him came back and inspired and gave Razorback fans some hope that there could be some turnaround, because that's really what I'm looking at right now. I have hope. I have hope that this team can beat Tennessee tomorrow. I don't think they will, but I have hope that they will. I feel a lot better about it now than what I would have 2 weeks ago going into this game for Arkansas. So, but I think the redemption story, and if you like Bobby, if you don't, that's fine. But it would make for a really cool thing if Bobby was able to do something crazy and turn this thing around.
It would be cool. And whether I want Bobby to be the full-time head coach or not, I still want Arkansas to win this football game tomorrow. I want them to play well. It's a lot better than watching them just not play hard, which is what they were doing at earlier points in the season. So I'm really looking forward to watching the game, man. I'm looking forward to having a different set of data points to talk about, because we'll have something, there's going to be a notch in the belt, one direction or the other with Bobby. And then all these other guys, like the back and forth with Summerall yesterday, which we were just talking about, of people loving his energy after, kind of being pissed off after an ugly win versus people saying, oh, they barely got past East Carolina. We can't do this. We're going to have a little bit of that with everybody, and we can start comparing and contrasting and editing our lists and everything like that. Somebody's going to take a bad loss. I don't know who SMU plays this week, but they take an L and people are going to throw Lashley, in the trash can. We're not going to talk about him until they beat Miami or something in a couple of weeks. Like, we're going to have a lot of that back and forth. And I don't know, we might have to ask Mark Pope, like, what's the best way to chart all this, because he's big with the charts and graphs, but keeping up with it all is going to be crazy for sure.
I think part of what rubs a lot of people the wrong way when we have this conversation, we kind of entertain the Bobby P redemption tour, is they are very much of the belief that Arkansas is going to lose to Tennessee and they're going to lose to A&M, and that, it's not even going to be close. I mean, you see some people saying it's going to be by a combined score of 50, and, that very well could be how it plays out. But a lot of people have that mentality of like, why are we even doing this? Like, they're about to get whipped by Tennessee and A&M, two of the best teams, maybe the two best teams left on the schedule. And so it's like, why even do the conversation? But I think that context is also very important, because it is important to note that, like, Bobby could do a very good job on Saturday. The team could have a very inspired effort. They could clearly play hard for him and care a lot, and still lose to a very good Tennessee team in Knoxville in a very ruckus environment. But again, I think this is all a very worthwhile thing. And part of, Curtis, you mentioned that evaluation and how with the sample size and the data set grows, it's all part of it. What Bobby does against a very good Tennessee team on the road, what he does against a very good A&M team at home, that is kind of a good tone setter where it's like, if he gets blown out, cool. That was what was supposed to happen. Then we can kind of move on, and maybe this loses a little bit of steam. We won't be having these same conversations. But of course, if everyone feels that way and they think it's stupid that we're even having the conversation, well, then you have to acknowledge what that means if Arkansas were to go out there and play really well, or maybe even win the game. And it goes back to the same thing I said preseason, because preseason we had a lot of people that were annoyed that we weren't considering Arkansas as like an 8-4, 9-3 type of team. Well, if that's how you feel, that's perfectly fine. But then you have to acknowledge what that means if they don't go 8-4, 9-3. If you think they're an 8-4, 9-3 team, well, then if they lose 3 games in the first 5 weeks, that means something, which we saw play out with Sam Pittman. And so, again, y'all are fine to put the expectations wherever you want, but then don't get mad at us for just using those expectations in that context to tell this story a little bit as it plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Like, I just like fun, and it would be fun to think about the different scenarios that could play out. So, which we'll get into here in just a second. But before we do, I want to remind everybody that we have the experts when it comes to real estate and all things real estate here in the state of Arkansas, as well as the state of Oklahoma. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, and she's our real estate expert. She's officially licensed in both states of Arkansas and Oklahoma, and she's here to take care of all of your real estate needs, whether you're looking for an investment property, a game day getaway, land investment, or even a new home. Gracie is your trusted guide from start to finish. You can give her a call or a text today at 501-690-3868. It's 501-690-3868. For all things and any questions, comments, anything you need. You can also check out her Instagram at Gracie Frizz. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, the official real estate expert of Inside Arkansas. And guys, I know, again, we'll have to get to the chats and be talking about it, but we always like to play the what if game, and we'll get to, it's part of the alumni hall question of the day, but it's like, what if Arkansas wins? What if they lose? What if they win big? What if they lose big? There's just all the scenarios that you got to play out. And I think that those are fun. I think, Andrew, I forgot which game it was. I think it was maybe the Ole Miss game. We kind of played that out on a Friday of like looking at all the scenarios. And the reason we did that was because of that game, each scenario could mean something completely different for moving forward. And I feel like for this game against Tennessee, whether you lose big, win big, barely lose, barely win, whatever, each one of those has a different scenario that plays out. And, So it's like looking at it from the perspective of if Arkansas won, we've talked about that, but it's like if Arkansas barely loses or loses big, do you guys feel that there's a pretty staunch difference in how you'll feel? I feel like I know the answer, but just how will the feelings be if the difference is between, hey, still loss, but between a huge margin of loss or a small margin of loss?
Well, I think if they get smacked around, then the segment of the fan base that feels like, Bobby's just babysitting this team until the end of the year and the next guy takes over, they'll feel vindicated. I mean, even though that's kind of the expectation by a lot of people going into this, but if they lose and it's one of those classic one possession games, as long as they don't fumble it away on the last possession, that won't get tacked onto the previous guy's, record there in terms of how people feel. But yeah, I think the competitiveness here matters. Obviously you want them to go out there and win, and winning is what would really, I'm trying to think of something different to say besides move the needle, because I know I say that a lot. But it's true. Like winning is what will move the needle here. Close loss. Nobody wants any more of that shit. We've been doing it for the last several years here, but showing some more competitiveness, fire, improvement over where you were, that will at least give people something to cling on to going into the next few weeks here. Who want this to become something, who want this to continue to be a story. But yeah, if they get smacked around, he's still got whatever it is, 6 games or however many to flip the narrative. But it's going to become increasingly more difficult on him, and people are going to look at it and be like, yeah, this team is a lost cause. Yeah, I was excited to see what it looked like, but I'm checked out. Is it basketball season yet? We'll start getting into more of those conversations again.
Yeah, that's why I feel like this game has a ton of stakes, because like you said, if they do lose big, it is going to be very easy to dismiss this entire thing and just kind of say, okay, it throws a lot of cold water on it. Not that it completely disqualifies, Bobby from making some things happen down the stretch, but it definitely changes the tenor of the conversation. I think there's a very clear path to a moral victory. Like maybe the clearest path of all time if Arkansas loses by like 8 in this game or something like that and they play hard. But I think the thing that we always do, sometimes you'll be playing a cupcake week 1 and you don't necessarily beat that cupcake the way you should. And you say, man, if we play like this against so-and-so, we're going to be in trouble. That's a game we play as sports fans a lot, is like, hey, if we extrapolate this performance and take it into next week against the same or different opponent, what will that look like? I think if Arkansas loses by 1 score, I know that would be another 1-score loss and tough to justify. But if you lose by 1 score in Knoxville against a Tennessee team that's like unanimously top 10, I think it would be very easy to look at that Mississippi State game, look at that Auburn game, maybe even that Missouri game or one of those road games against LSU or Texas and say, man, if this same Razorback team shows up and plays this way against some of those teams, they're going to have a chance to win 2, 3, maybe even 4 games. And so I definitely think that like there's a lot that can come out of this that will change the way we view it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a win, but I think it's going to be very, like, no matter what, people are going to be doing their victory laps no matter what. Like if Arkansas loses by 3, there will be people doing victory laps of like, see, Bobby P, I told you. And if they lose by 50, there will be victory laps there. That's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah, listen, if it's going to be a loss no matter what, but yeah, it's about the feeling of the rest of the year, because you're trying to see how different this is going to be. And if you got blown out to Tennessee that's not different. Like you're looking at the same thing. You got blown out against Notre Dame. And I know you didn't get blown out against Memphis or blown out against Ole Miss necessarily, but it was like, especially the Memphis games, like you got blown out in the second half against Memphis. Like you have yet to play a decent quarter of football in 6 straight quarters. And so it's like that to me would just, it's same song, same verse, doesn't matter who's the coach. This team's just dead in the water. But because even if you play it close, it's like, they did play it close after getting embarrassed like that. And they obviously believed enough in what Petrino was preaching and, getting in the right stance and everything. Like they believed enough in it to compete and to fight for something. And there is some fight still left this team. So, hey, maybe they do find a way. Maybe they do kind of look at themselves and be like, hey, we didn't win, but man, that was a lot better than what we would have done before. That was a lot better than what we were even expecting. So, hey, who knows? Maybe we can turn this thing around because nobody's expecting Arkansas to win tomorrow. Like no one is. And in fact, our Alumni Hall question of the day, it was a simple question, kind of what we've been talking about. It was dealing with just looking at Arkansas in general and this game about the different outcomes. If it's Hogs win big, like what do you think happens? Hogs win big, Hogs barely win, Hogs barely lose, or Hogs lose big. 60% of you say Hogs lose big. 60% of you. And then 20% of you say Hogs barely lose. So you're talking about 80% of you saying Hogs are going to lose. So no one's expecting you to win, but it's a matter of how you look compared to what you did the last time we saw you, which was abysmal and awful and terrible and everything, especially defensively, guys. Because listen, if the offense scores a bunch of points, it'll be nice, but the defense is going to be the biggest thing. If this defense actually plays well and tackles better and does all that, like, man, what was going on there before? But that's to me is going to be the key of also, if you barely lose, how's the defense look? Do they look any different? Or are they still the same old guys giving up the same old plays and not tackling very well? It's going to come down to that.
Yeah, I hope, man, there's just some fatal flaws of this defense that I don't know that they're going to be able to overcome, but I hope we see better effort, and I hope they become a little bit more opportunistic. Right? Doesn't it seem like if they're going to have any more success, they're going to have to get a few takeaways? Like I know Aguilar is good for a pick a game or whatever. You're going to have to get probably a couple, but at least one to keep yourself in it. I just don't know that this defense, even if Bobby Petrino has Hunter Yurachek's magic pixie dust or whatever the heck he was talking about at that press conference, are they really going to be a unit that can string together a bunch of stops consistently? I don't think they are. So mix in a couple stops here and there and get a turnover or two. That's probably the formula, and just score a crap ton of points would be the way to do it. But I think everybody's kind of got an eye on just seeing the things you were talking about there, John. But it's like, are you playing harder, and can you tackle somebody with a football in their hands? Because you weren't really doing that earlier. So.
Yeah, and as fans, we have a unique ability. Sometimes we can sniff it out. Like there's times where an opponent does really well against you, but you can kind of tell, oh man, that was just that guy got hot from 3, and it wasn't necessarily anything crazy that we did, or hey, that's a really good offense over there, or hey, we were playing Cam Newton and he ran over our linebacker. Like, what are you going to do? And then you can tell the difference between that and just a complete lack of, function from your team. You can tell what it looks like when your defense isn't even really competing out there. For me personally, I'm with you that I just don't see a path to where this defense is going to just magically be above average in any way, shape, or form. I want to see if this offense can maybe take more control of the game. Obviously, the offense is what Arkansas is counting on to keep them in a lot of these football games. I want to see if they can maybe get this defense in a better position of playing less time on the field. I think that's some very important context. If you're asking this defense to play 62 plays versus 82 plays, that's very different. If they're on the field for 35 minutes compared to 24 minutes, very different. And so that's kind of like, I think it's going to need, like you said, turnovers. It's going to take some luck, some bounces to go your way, which being in the right position, being aligned can help you do. But I also think Arkansas is going to need some help from their offense. And so I wonder with Bobby as head coach, if obviously I'm sure you can't just go in and say, yeah, we want to keep the ball for 40 minutes in this game. But I wonder if there's going to be a little bit more connective tissue between keeping your offense on the field as long as possible, maybe run the ball a little bit more, leaning on that run game, leaning on Talon a little bit, and then maybe putting your defense in a better position, which could maybe free them up to take some more chances, make some turnovers happen, really take some risks.
Yeah, I was just thinking too of who's the guy that's taking over as defensive coordinator? What's his name?
Wilson.
Yeah. Just like, he's like, all right, kid, here you go. Trying to do something with this. It's kind of, I'm not saying that he's got pressure on him because no one's going to have that pressure on him, but that is what's kind of funny to me is just how bad the defense has been. It's like, all right, here you go. You get to take over. You get to see what you got, see what you scheme up, and see how it goes. But yeah, it's gonna be different vibes on the sidelines too of seeing all that. Do you guys think, out of curiosity, if Arkansas did win this game, do we get any Hogs Plus content, little social media clips of the locker room post with Bobby talking to the team? You think we do?
Probably so. Yeah, they have to keep doing this for the team. I wonder how much Bobby we're going to get in these things because you have an open coaching search. It's an interim deal. So if they it's weird, right? Like if you put a ton of support behind him and you're promoting it and going crazy, it was like when RIP Arkansas Edge put out the t-shirt right away after Pittman got, like, there's kind of a fine line for him to walk there from this standpoint. So I wonder how much of it would be, Talon and Carmona and all those guys versus Bobby addressing the squad and everything, or, if they send out a tweet and it's like, oh, he's back like he never left, or I don't know what you do in this situation. That's something I'm going to be really interested in seeing. It's not lost on me that the Sam Pittman show or whatever is now the Razorback Football show and not Bobby Petrino live out at the Catfish Hole or something. So I think that they're aware of that, and I wonder how much praise they're going to give that man when it's an active coaching search if he's having success. It's a weird deal.
I also think, to your point, they're not going to set it up to where Pittman will get made fun of. And if they post a video of like the team putting Bobby on their shoulders, or the team, Quincy Rhodes looks in the camera and say, man, we played with so much discipline today. This has been a big change from our previous coach. They're not going to put out content that makes Sam Pittman look bad, which, you could argue if they beat Tennessee, there's not really a way to put out content that doesn't make him look bad. But I think that they are going to be very careful with some of the messaging that they put out. But it will be cool to see how they walk that thin rope, or how they walk that thin line. It's going to be kind of cool, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And it'll be just the no, because we didn't have any of that when he was the head coach at Arkansas before, as far as like behind the scenes of locker room and all that stuff. But it'll also be really funny too if like they just didn't put anything out. They won't do that, but it'd be funny if they didn't put anything out, because I'm like, I just want to have assumptions. I just want to be like, was he swearing so much that they just couldn't edit it enough to where he was just using such horrible language, like all of that? Like that would be really funny. So we'll see, though. We'll see. You got to play the game tomorrow. And again, folks, we're going to be doing a watch party over at Goat Lab at 1214 North Garland Avenue tomorrow for the game. We'll be there around 12:30 to do a pregame action, and then you can watch the game with us, and we'll be live streaming it and having a good time with it. So be sure to come on out and hang out with us. But let's go ahead and get into some of your chats and some of the other discussion that we need to get into here on the show. But I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you by our friends over at Drain Masters of Arkansas. Listen, Drain Masters are officially licensed in plumbing and drain cleaning while serving the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, and beyond. They are ready to handle all of your plumbing and draining needs with professional and reliable service, because we know that, hey, there's nothing worse than having some clogging going on. And we've all been there. You're kind of like, what do we do, man? The plunger ain't doing too good of a job. Well, that's why you got to have Drain Masters help you out. And if you want to request a service, you can give them a call today at 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. You can also scan that QR code on your screen, take you straight to their website. They also have a Facebook page you can like at Drain Masters Inc. Be sure to tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you, though, because you'll get 10% off all of their services. And you're going to get a better deal than that. Anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. So give them a call today at 479-646-5585. All right, so let's get to some of your chats here on the show, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in and having some fun with us today, because it's a weekend. We gotta be cool. Let's see. We got Addison saying, "I'm ready to get hurt again." You know what? That's the right mentality. That's the right mentality. I'm ready to get hurt again. You're ready to believe. You're ready to get excited. All it's going to take is Arkansas getting up 14-0 in that first quarter. It's going to happen for you, Addison.
As we've learned from Sam Pittman, if you're hurting, that's good. That means you care. So you care, Addison.
Yeah, sometimes a warrior just needs to have a good bleed. I think that's what was going on. Let's see. Appreciate Jordan. Shout out for him for the super chase. Says met John at prime time. Thank you for taking a pic with me and my dad. You're welcome, Jordan. Good to meet you, man. Good to meet you. Glad you got to experience that. The prime time of the palace, not taking a picture of me.
I was like,
glad you got to experience meeting me.
No, not that. That would be too cocky and too arrogant for me to say. Let's see. Mark Burkett says, can't believe Mike Neighbors owns the hat and neck brace. That was a cool little thing. Yeah, former coach. Yeah. He owns. I knew the neck brace. I didn't know the hat, but that's pretty awesome that he owns that.
I also love that he was like, it's not making fun of Bobby. Come on. Like, yeah. I don't know how you can hold that neck brace and I'm okay with it. I think it's actually awesome. I think it's cool, but like it's poking a little fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a conversation piece if anyone asks about it. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like, as you guys remember that Twitter space where the guy offered me the handlebar from Bobby's motorcycle or whatever. And then that ended up being a disaster within itself. But yeah, everybody's got a little piece of that whole story. You know why? Because it was really interesting and really fascinating to see how it all went down. Let's see. Also, Austin says, y'all can dress up as BP. I'll be Houston up for Halloween. First stop, John's house. You'll be met with a gun. Austin says, I think it's pretty interesting. No one is talking about any of the coordinators from these big programs. I guess head coaches, even outside the P5, get more hype. I guess he's talking about the coordinators, next coaches.
I've seen a lot of people be like very anti, like no coordinators whatsoever. They think that would be like a huge disaster, which like I'm not here to argue for coordinators. I would just say that like of the top 10 to 12 teams in the country, like half of them employ a head coach who came from a coordinator spot. And there's some interesting candidates. I was also a little interested by how dismissive people are of the coordinators.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of times that coordinators have worked out really well for certain programs. That's one thing though, that Arkansas, they haven't really done, or that I can remember doing, where they've just hired a coordinator as a head coach. It's usually been head coaches of a big program or head coaches of smaller programs, but I don't think in their history even they've gone a route of hiring a coordinator. Again, it could be wrong about that, but yeah, it's, who knows, maybe that's what you need to try out. Let's see. Also, where was it at? Okay, I just lost it. It was another one. Oh, right here. Almri says, I appreciate you guys talking through all these things. What else are you supposed to do? That's why we tune in. These are the takes we want. Everyone else can leave. Hope lives on, John. That's right. It's all about hope.
I appreciate Omri saying this because sometimes I feel like people will comment on bombastics and they'll just literally, it'll be like a random fall ball scrimmage update. And they'll be like, they're going to lose in the College World Series. Stop talking about it. Like, gee, so I just can't cover the team for the next 8 months? Damn.
Yeah, you just be like, oh, okay, sorry. And then just like give up. Just not even cover the Razorbacks ever again because nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear all that nonsense. Yeah, which also, because, we were talking about the article from Brandon Marcello and CBS Sports. And I got this tweet that somebody, I guess they said they can't chat, which I don't understand that. But either way, they just said on the tweet, they said, hey, do you mind asking about if we keep Bobby as the head coach, is it possible we can still hire a really good defensive coach to be his coordinator? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's possible. But I mean, that's so far down the road. Like, that's so far down the road. You don't even know who to speculate on not that would be. It's like Bobby's coaching tree as far as guys that ended up being head coaches. It's not very strong, guys. It's not very strong. You think about coaches that have had success. It's like, who has been Bobby Petrino's assistant coach that's gone on to be a great head coach or something like that? Paul Petrino over at Idaho. Can't believe that one didn't work out. Ring the bell and all that great stuff. But no, that's not a thing that really needs to probably be talked about right now at this particular point, at least. Also, okay, Seahawks says, John Curiosity, could you find one negative thing to say about hiring Sumrall? That's another reason why we should hire him. 36-10 record, 13-4 in close games. No. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like, Sumrall's one of those coaches where I'm like, hey, if they hired him, I'm all in. Like, I don't really have anything. I'm sure there's always a con to every coach, but I don't have anything that'd be like, oh, I don't know about this.
There's definitely nothing in his resume that you would point to and be like, oh, this is a red flag. All these guys, it's just a very different thing. You're jumping up in competition. You're facing, your competitors are different. Your recruiting base is different. The way you build your program is different. So there's always things that have to translate over. And so that would be the question is, could everything he's doing at Tulane transfer over to Arkansas? And, so we can have that conversation a little bit, but I definitely don't think there's like anything in his resume. Same with Golish, honestly. And I know people are not as high on Golish or whatever, but I look at a lot of these guys and I'm just like, I don't like see anything in their resume that I'm like, red flag, man. I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. You have to really comb over some of these coaches and find like, okay, so what's the major negative? And then some people will be like, I'm not saying some have done this, but some people could see Summerall be like, well, he hadn't done it in the SEC. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's like
he's not won the national championship in the SEC.
Yeah, it's like he hasn't competed for an SEC title. He ain't ready for that SEC speed. It's like, okay, sure, but it's like there's always going to be somebody just like, we just hired the next Chad Morris. We just hired the next Brett Bielema. We just hired another Sam Pittman. It's like you're always just going to be, we hired the next whatever. Sometimes some of these coaches are completely different. I know, stop traffic. They can be completely different from anybody or anything you've ever hired before.
I want to ask Hog fans, how do y'all feel about, because if Summerall got the head coaching job, there would be I would say a 50-50 chance, maybe even less, that he would bring Joe Craddock as his OC. I mean, that is his current OC at Tulane. They're having a lot of success. Would y'all be like mad about that? Would y'all be like excited about that? Would y'all be like, I'm happy, but I'm not thrilled about this? Like, how would Hog fans feel about that? And I'm genuinely asking. I don't even know how I feel about it. So I'm just curious how Hog fans feel.
I mean, for me, I'd look at it as I don't really care as much because, one, I don't think anybody looked at Chad Morris's tenure here and be like, dude, Joe Craddock was trash. It was like, dude, Chad Morris made everything bad. Because you've seen some coaches that left that, like Jeff Traylor was on that staff. And doesn't mean he's just a terrible coach. It's just a terrible
TJ Kinney was on that staff.
Yeah, that's right. Him too. So it's like, I wouldn't mind because, hey, it's working at Tulane. So I would be all for it. Bring Joe Craddock home. I don't think anybody ever thought that would be a discussion for anybody. But yeah, just go ahead and bring Joe Craddock home and make that happen. Because I honestly forgot about him. Is he still the quarterback's coach as well, or is he just the coordinator and something else? Because I know he did wide receivers,
but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, because I know he did like wide receivers there for a bit as well. So. We'll continue to get to your chats and discussions, folks, but I want to remind everybody that Hickey & Hull Law is the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas, because we know that there's a lot of very important matters that need to be discussed and that you need help with when it's divorce, custody cases especially. They're tough to try to face alone, but that's why Hickey & Hull Law provides you with that persistent and diligent representation to help guide you through the entire process. They've handled thousands of family law cases and have experienced nearly every scenario that man has come up, and that's why they're the best in the business, and that's why we are all about Hickey & Hull Law here at Inside Arkansas, because they're the ones that's going to take care of you every single step of the way. So if you need the legal advice, the legal guidance to make it work, whether it's divorce, custody, criminal, civil litigation, personal injury, estate planning, all of those things, go ahead and give them a call today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. Scan that QR code on your screen right there as well. It's Hickey & Hull Law. Things are about to get better. Also, too, I thought about like playing this, but I wasn't going to do it actually. But this Hey Gruden video that's popped up, I think has inspired a lot of people to start jumping on the John Gruden wagon, I thought. And then, guys, when our voting happens on our website, John Gruden's been moved out of the top 5. John Gruden is no longer a top 5 vote for Razorback fans. It's actually had now Alex Golish has moved into the top 5, surpassing John Gruden, and John Gruden is just the honorable mention. Dan Mullen's still leading the way, but had some movement, though, this week as far as the top 5 coaches that Razorbacks won.
I'm no longer going to be surprised by the results of this poll because it just seems to be a roller coaster. Like, I still don't know how Dan Mullen is just holding strong with like 1,000 more votes than everybody else. I am not surprised that John Gruden fell out of the top 5 because it seems like people get angry whenever you bring up his name. Overall, I don't really have a strong reaction to it necessarily.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just thought it was fascinating that still having some movement, still having some voting, which we'll do the voting differently and have a reset of it each week because it will always change each and every week. So just be on the lookout for that. Got a super chat from our guy Quinn. Just says, "Hey, what's up, Quinn?
What's up, man?
How we doing?
Hey,
Yeah,
Good luck this weekend, buddy.
yeah. They got a tough one. Let's see. Also, it says, Filthy Tom says, why can't we make a website with all the players' Venmos and make the way to give them tips when they make a play, incentivize getting on the field and making plays?"
I feel like there's websites that have done something like this, like some type of, or maybe it's like you buy a jersey of theirs, or maybe you buy something. But I feel like there's been some type of website or some type of company that does something like this. But maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, I know that there's been ones that have done it before. So, all right. So let's see. Big Choppa just says, Curtis, you are making me down bad.
My bad, man.
Okay.
That was right after the start of the show.
I think that's a compliment. Like, I think he's calling you handsome.
We'll assume that's the case.
All right. Well, then also James says, did y'all watch Cal and Dan Dockage's show? Very interesting.
Yes, I did watch that, actually. Talked about it a little bit this morning. It was interesting, man. He talked about a lot of different things, ran through some of the same, typical talking points that he does, but he said some interesting stuff about how he goes about NIL and not getting into the bidding wars and everything like that. But I thought it was kind of fascinating that he was asked about Sam Pittman and Hunter Yurachek and the funding for the football program and everything like that. And he kind of echoed how we felt about it, which is what Hunter was saying was not wrong. It was just like a very, very poorly delivered message. But I thought it was interesting that he just said it. He just put it out there because he's technically an employee or whatever. You could tell he felt bad for Sam. He was like, man, it sucks. I thought he was doing a really good job. Couple fumbles, could have changed everything, but that's the business or whatever. But the most interesting thing I thought that he said, two things. One, he said that when he was asked about the football team and their funding and everything, he said everything that the U of A has pledged and committed to the men's basketball program, they've delivered on. That's good to hear. But then he also said that he's having to do a lot of work in the NIL front because there's still like 10 to 15 teams in the country that he thinks have double the amount of money as them, including Kentucky. So, okay, that's interesting too. And by the way, they're doing a foreign tour next summer. Either Toronto or the Bahamas. You want to talk about two polar opposite places, man. Toronto or the Bahamas, baby. But that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that too.
Toronto would be sick. I feel like whoever they play, the Canadian U19 team or whatever, would be pretty good. Canada basketball's on the rise, man.
Yeah.
And also, too, it says from Bassin in the Ozark says, hey, Pods Palace listeners, Big Kurt says he thinks Arkansas is in the driver's seat for Holt, right?
Definitely didn't say that. Brandon McCoy, maybe. Okay. We're talking about who Arkansas might be in the driver's seat for here early on. I think they're in a real good spot for Arafon, the big fella, better than people think with the Houston angle there. Caleb Holt, I think it's going to come down to how much you're willing to pay up to get him. I don't think it's off the table for Arkansas, but he's going to cost you in between a lot of schools that are recruiting him. Just talked about how Cal was talking about not doing a whole bunch of bidding wars and paying one guy on the team a whole hell of a lot more than he does others. Like to get a guy like Caleb Holt, you might have to do that unless you can really sell him on just playing with a bunch of really good players around him and sacrifice not tripping over nickels on the way to 200 million or whatever. You'd have to sell him on that because he's going to come at a cost for sure.
Also, Trey wants to know, hey, Curtis, who you think is the best defender and rebounder on the basketball team?
Defender, probably Billy, although Nick Pringle, and it's different positions, so it's hard to say, is a really good, really versatile defender. Pringle's probably your best rebounder. Very aggressive, defensive and offensive boards. He's not going to get pushed around, not going to get pushed under the rim like, Big Z and those guys did last year. So you could answer Nick Pringle for both of those questions if you wanted to, really.
I feel like rebounding is like sneaky a positive trait for this Razorback team. Like, I don't know if, like, obviously when you get out rebounded in the final game of the year, you're going to have that in mind when you're building the roster. But I feel like it's like an underrated rebounding squad. I don't know if they're going to dominate, nationally or anything, but I feel very good about the rebounding.
Also, Trey wants to know, hey, Andrew, who do you think is the most improved pitcher on the baseball team? transfer, or returner?
So I've given Tate McGuire a lot of flowers, and I will continue to do that. He's pitched extremely well. I think Steele Eaves is still, and he's kind of the obvious one because everyone now has kind of understood that Steele Eaves is good. We remember him for jumping in the lake last year, but he only threw about 6 or 7 innings total, and none of them were in high leverage situations. And so I think Steele Eaves has probably improved his role more than anybody else. By the way, yesterday someone got really upset at me on the Bombastic for not giving Colin Fisher his props because he's going to start one of the games this weekend. And I was just a little surprised by that. I was like, oh, okay, Colin Fisher's obviously started games before, but good for him. And the guy was like, man, he's of course he's the Friday night starter, Colin Fisher. And I'm like, well, I was like, that just really isn't how it was trending. If Colin Fisher really were to work a role into the weekend rotation, it would be hard for me not to say he's the most improved pitcher because that would be they didn't really use him at all down the stretch. So if he wound up being in the weekend rotation, him or Tate McGuire, that would be pretty notable. But they're going to need a lot of their returners. If you look at Matt Hobbs' tenure, the best pitchers, like the best staffs he's had, have been led by guys that started their careers at Arkansas. And so it's going to, if this pitching staff is going to outperform everyone's expectation, it's going to be because Tate McGuire took a step forward, because Steele Eaves took a step forward, or because Colin Fisher took a huge step forward. And I think all three have a good opportunity to do that.
Tucker also wants to know thoughts on Dietz' development and outlook this season.
He's a guy I could have thrown in there. Y'all know what Dave said about Dietz the other day? He said Dietz has conference starter written all over him. He didn't say for sure he's going to be in our rotation. He said he has conference starter written all over him. I mean, at this point, they're just like trying to get us excited. He touched 99 last week or 2 weeks ago. So I'm just happy the velocity's back because I was not as bullish on the Hunter Dietz thing if he was 92 to 94. Now that velo's back, I think Hunter Dietz is going to have a very big role on this team. What will it be? Will it be closer, setup, maybe an occasional start here? I don't know, but I hope he pitches well this weekend for sure.
And also, Camel Hawk says, can't wait for tonight, seeing the boys face some outside competition. We're getting a Bombastic tonight, right, Andrew? Yeah,
you'll get a Bombastic, whether it's late tonight when I get home or like first thing in the morning tomorrow. But yeah, you'll have a Bombastic recapping tonight's epic win over Little Rock.
Yeah, like I said, it's a great weekend for all of that. Reminder that Curtis and Andrew are going to be down in Hot Springs for the tip-off tour that's happening on Sunday, and they're going to have a Pot at the Palace reaction post-game show at Blue Ember down there in Hot Springs. So be sure to, if you're in the area, to go out and check it out and talk a little basketball, talk a little barbecue, and eat barbecue. You could talk about it too, I guess, if you wanted to, but do both of those things down there in Hot Springs happening on Sunday. So be sure to check it out.
I am so excited for that. I can't wait to get down there, man. It's going to be a blast. I'm going back and forth between, am I more excited for the basketball or for the barbecue? It's going to be a really good time.
I didn't think about it until today. Last year, whenever we were in, I guess it was Pine Bluff, you remember they kicked us out of Curtis was credentialed. And then me and John kind of tried to sneak down over there and they kicked us out and made us go sit in seats. But from our seats, we just recorded some of the action. I might have to do something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I can't remember comparing the facilities from what it was in Hot Springs or in Pine Bluff, but I think the Hot Springs one, it's the same place they have the state championships, right? For basketball, pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Also, Hog Wild says, what do y'all think about the Pigpen Collective, the new fan-led NIL collective? Well,
I've seen some things about it. I got to be honest, I haven't dug too deep into it just yet. I think it's a good idea, the fan-led thing, but this one specifically, I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it just yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've seen some people tag me and stuff on Twitter. I in a nutshell, the premise 100%, I'm all on board. I don't know who it is that's doing it. I don't know. I know it's not through the U of A. I know it's just a fan collective, which I think is a very good idea. I don't know these people. I don't want to vouch and be like, oh yeah, everyone go give your money to these people, because I have no idea who's running it, what they're going to do with the money. But the premise of a fan collective, certainly not gonna get any negative pub from me. Yeah,
no doubt about it. I want to check more into it, but before I say too much about it, I want to know the ins and outs and who runs it and everything like that. And I wish those folks would maybe reach out to me and give me some information or set up an opportunity to chat, as opposed to coming in here when we're live on air. And, you know, clearly, like, we don't spam other shows chats. Like, we don't do that. You know what I mean? And so, like, we're not going to let other shows dictate our content, but I understand that this is for a good cause and a common goal and everything. So that's why we kind of waited to get to it here a little bit later. I think there's better ways to get us involved. Like, educate me a little bit on it. Let me learn a little bit more about it before we start talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And my whole thing is on it is like, it's most of these collectives that are successful at other schools. I think the Grove Collective is one of the big ones. It's like, it's fan driven. And I think it's usually a good idea too. It's just the biggest thing that I will always say about these deals is it needs the most transparency of all time. It needs to have a face to it. It needs to have actual people that are actual individuals that actually have their faces and names and who they are out there. Because just throwing it out there and saying, you know, it's a fan collective, you know, that's great. But it's like, there's a lot of distrust with collectives. There's a lot of distrust with what the cause is, you know, and it's, you know, how much percentage of it is going to where and how much money is it going towards where. And, you know, when it does get done, and if there is a lot of money raised, okay, so who specifically is it going to? Is it going to just a football school? Is it or a sport? Is it going to certain players? Like, there's just a lot of transparency that needs to be done, and it needs to be done correctly, because we saw what happens when you have a collective like what was Blueprint Sports and Arkansas Edge, that it was a problem. It was a problem because people gave money to it and then saw nothing from it, didn't get anything out of it, didn't know anything about it, didn't know where it was going. And that caused distrust. So my biggest thing is like, if you're going to do it, great. But I have always felt, and this is not me knocking it, because like you said, Curtis, I don't know much about it. I don't know the details. But my biggest thing is I feel like if you're going to do these things, it needs to be led by a major donor or booster or somebody like that has their face to it, and just saying, hey, I'm a big donor. I want to run this. I want to be in charge of it, to have it like, you know, kind of vouch for, to be like, this is a legitimate thing. And this is how you know, because it's me. It's like, I'm right here. And I think if you do that and you have people give to it, then I'm all about it. But it's just, again, this day and age, especially, I'm very weary and very cautious of any sort of random collective that just gets started and it's expected to everyone to buy into it and grow without knowing all the finest of details and all the transparency that's going on with it.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and I wish them all well. I would also appreciate them not antagonizing us to make a point, because it seems like that's kind of been a huge part of the business model. Which, you know, I mean, like I you know, I'm not saying you shouldn't antagonize us, but it's like that's what's kind of weird about it to me.
I think some of that's in poor taste. I really do. Like I said, appreciate the cause and everything. I'm all for it. I'm all for learning more about it. Hit me up in the DMs, or, you know what I mean? Like, let me learn a little bit more about it. Let's have a conversation about it. Let me ask some questions, as opposed to trying to railroad the chat and dictate our content and everything today. It's nothing personal. A lot of people are like, oh, super chats get read first and everything like that. Man, we got some things that we got to get to. We understand what's going on here with this. Like, we're not naive to it. So give us a minute and we'll get to it. But yeah, let's get together and talk a little bit more about it, you know?
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right. Also, you know, we're going to have an interview with Jay Crane of Crane & Company. It's pretty fascinating because he actually coached against Bobby Petrino. And we'll be playing that later in the show and talking about what makes him so successful as an offensive mind. We'll do that, as well as getting to some other things going on in the weekend of college football, especially. But I want to remind everybody that Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas is a great company that does a great job when it comes to all professional lighting for your home in the Northwest Arkansas and in the River Valley. Brett, they're awesome. I can't tell you how many people who have used Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, because in our audience, they've used him, that said that Brett does a phenomenal job there. He's really communicative, and he's somebody that's always going to put in the greatest effort. And that's a great endorsement. And they do a great job. So if you're looking to make your home for Halloween, which is coming up here soon, so you may need to text Brett and say like, hey, can we do a last minute deal here? Or if it comes to the Christmas side of things, which you got a little bit more time for, no matter what it is with Halloween lights, Christmas lights, text our guy Brett for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com, or you can like them on Facebook too. They have a great Facebook page where you can see all the different examples that they have when it comes to the lighting of your home. It's the little Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. So here in we know college football is going on, and we, of course, the Arkansas game. This is actually a lot better of a weekend for college football than what it was a week ago, because last week, especially in the SEC, was pretty brutal. But this week is a little bit differently. And so if you're looking at this weekend's games, the first one actually on 11 a.m., which makes me laugh because I know how Razorback fans would feel if they had this type of matchup at home for their game. You got Alabama and Missouri. You're going to be playing Missouri at the end of the season. Luckily, this ends the home stand for Missouri after 6 straight games. But 14th ranked Missouri, 8th Alabama. Alabama's ranked by favored by 2.5 in this game on the road on Bet Saracen. Do you guys think that this is actually something where Missouri makes their stand, or do you think Alabama takes them into the woodwork?
Alabama blasts him, man. I like Ahmad Hardy. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's a really, really good running back. It's at home for them. And it's like, I understand there's some things to like there. Alabama, are they the Alabama of old? I don't know. They've had a couple really tough weeks here back to back that they've, answered the call for. I just don't see Missouri winning a game like this, man. I'm sorry. I think Alabama beats them by a couple scores.
Yeah, like on paper, I just think Alabama's the better team. I think they've had some really, really impressive wins. They're battle tested, of course. There's something about them that I don't fully trust, and I think that Florida State game week 1 is maybe just, burned into my memory. But I'm with you that I look at this betting line and I'm like, I almost feel like it's a trap where I'm like, on paper, I feel like Bama should be like a 5 or 6 point favorite. So yeah, I lean Bama. I just feel like I'm worried there's going to be some game that Missouri just pulls off something stupid and wins.
I really hope not, because that kind of sets them up to where Missouri, they have some tougher games than maybe what they looked like originally. Like, they still have A&M, but they play A&M at home. They have to go to Oklahoma and to Vanderbilt. So maybe that ends up being something. But if they beat Alabama, I just don't want, because then they have Auburn coming up, which could end up being a win. I just don't want them to ever be in the consideration for a championship or winning the SEC or anything like that. So I'm hoping Alabama just makes their stead and makes it known that they're not messing around anymore. But Alabama's got Tennessee coming up next, so don't overlook them, Kalen DeBoer. That's all we ask.
Missouri's going to be on firm playoff watch if they win this game, dude.
My God.
That's going to be brutal.
Yeah. For playoff watch and SEC championship watch for sure. You also have a random game of Ole Miss and Washington State at 11:45. So, I think, was it Lane Kiffin said that they're going up against the number 1 team in the Pac-12, or however he put it.
He ain't lying.
Yeah, I mean, there is facts there, but you got that one. Then you got the Red River rivalry, or the Red River shootout. Texas and Oklahoma may have had some better, feelings before the season started. I don't think anybody would have guessed that Texas would not be ranked and Oklahoma would be a top 5 team, but yet here we are. But still, it's the line shifted a little bit. Oklahoma's favored by 1.5 now. It was Texas for a long time. So,
well, rumor has it John Mateer may or may not play in this game. The reports say so. That would probably change the conversation for me. He's really, really good. I think he's a legit Heisman type candidate when he's healthy. The other guy, his name escapes me. I feel bad for that, but he started that game last year and it didn't go well. It didn't go well for him in Oklahoma at all. So I'm sure they're being a little bit better of a situation. We know Texas is really struggling with, honestly, the defense hasn't been as great as advertised, but everybody's pointing at Arch Manning going, dude, what gives here? If Mateer plays, I think Oklahoma is going to win this football game. If he doesn't, I kind of still think that they will, but I feel way, way less confident about it.
Is it possible that Mateer toughs it out and tries to play, and it clearly is obvious he's not 100% and it affects them? Because that Texas defense is also not a bad defense. I know they gave up some big plays to Florida last week, but that's a tough little test for your first game back with a little bit of a hand thing. That's a tough one. Last year, I think it was that Hawkins kid, they did the double benching. They benched him and Jackson Arnold on the same, they went back and forth twice in that Texas game. They did a double benching. But I kind of weirdly like Texas in this game. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but I just am like, man, there's no way Texas is going to just stink through the whole year.
I mean, you would think, and they got to kind of get it going now. They're in a desperation mode, but I don't know. It gives me the vibes of if it's Michael Hawkins Jr. playing, I'm not saying longevity or everything, but I almost feel like Hawkins might be a better quarterback than Arch right now.
I was gonna say, he's also not bad. He's got experience. I know he didn't, he got benched in the game last year, but he had some good games for them as well. I think he beat Auburn on the road last year. He's a pretty overqualified backup for this spot.
Yeah. Other games though of note, you got Florida, Texas A&M going down to College Station. Anyway, Florida follows it up and beats the other team in Texas from the SEC.
I don't know, man. I don't think it's happening.
Dude, did y'all see
games in College Station?
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida ain't winning that game.
Did y'all see the there was like a Florida staffer that like quote was like oh, Sunbelt Billy and the boys, you know, we're so bad, right? After they beat Texas and they improved to 2-3, he like did a victory lap where he was like, oh, but I thought Sunbelt Billy and the boys couldn't get it done, and everybody's like, buddy, you're 2-3, like relax. And he deleted the tweet immediately. I feel like that is not an example of the way Florida's program operates. This is like a classic. Florida feels like they accomplished something, and now they're about to go to play a really good team. That team that's not fraudulent in A&M, and I think A&M beats them pretty bad.
Yeah, 7.5 point favorites though for A&M, but that defensive line for Florida is really good. But you know, I don't know. I always feel like A&M is going to find some way to screw it up. And also, I do want A&M to win though, because you know it's always one of those things psychologically speaking. I'd rather them be like undefeated top 5 team for Arkansas next week than them being pissed off that they lost at home. So. Anyways, Georgia and Auburn. I hammer Georgia in this game because they're still only 3.5 point favorites. I don't understand it. I know Auburn's got a good defense, but they cannot like move the ball. They can't score. Sorry, Quinn. But 3.5 points though for was it the oldest rivalry in the South or something? So yeah,
they would really need that Jordan Hare magic, you know, that I just don't know that really exists anymore.
Dude, preseason, I saw like several national people that like did full Auburn and Georgia schedules, and like a lot of national people had this circled as an upset. And I'm not saying it can't be. I mean, like the spread is fishy, you know, with how close it is. I just feel like there's no way Georgia loses this game. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm with you, John, that like if Auburn scores more than like 17, I'll be pretty stunned.
Yeah, I don't see how it happens, but again, this college football season's been wacky so far. I mean, I know it's still a lot of time left, and we always talk about the cream usually rises to the top. Was it the 2007 college football season? Everyone always references how insane it was. Guess who was in the title game that year? Ohio State and LSU. So it's like, yeah, it was crazy, but it ended up being the same way. I don't know who's the best team right now. I know Oregon's good. Ohio State's good. Are any of these other SEC teams good? I don't want them to be. I don't want A&M to be good. I don't want Ole Miss to be good. I don't want Missouri to be good. But we're going to find out as these games continue to play out. So, but that's what's going on in the SEC. I guess as far as you got Burt playing Ohio State, you know, in Champaign. So you got that. Ohio State's favored by 14.5 against Illinois, though, on the road. That's pretty brutal. Can I entice you guys with a little Oregon-Indiana top 10 matchup in Eugene?
That's a good game, actually.
Entice me with Oregon blowing them boys out.
I'm inclined to agree. It is like I'm going to have my eye on it. I'm intrigued by it. I love Coach Sig, but yeah, I think Oregon lays the smack down here.
Yeah. I think I think they do too, but it would be really cool if Indiana found a way to screw around and win. And then suddenly all these other programs that thought that they were going to fire their coach to get Signetti, it's like, oh, geez. Now we really want him.
Oregon's big win over Penn State has already aged poorly. It's hard to win an overtime game. It was on the road against a top 3 team and to have it age poorly, but somehow it has aged poorly.
Yeah. No, that one, it has been brutal. It has been brutal. So, all right. I know we'll have some other of your chats to get into as well, but we also have to do, of course, a recruiting update with our guy Dudley Dawson of Inside Arkansas Recruiting. But as a reminder, it's presented by Goat Lab. And don't forget tomorrow, folks, for the Arkansas-Tennessee game, we are going to be live at Goat Lab, 1214 North Garland Avenue, for a watch party where we're going to start our live stream little pregame show action at around 2:30, 2:45. And then we're going to live stream the entire game, get our reactions, get our commentary. And the best thing about it is they're having a great wing deal called Progressive Wings there tomorrow, where it starts at $1 for each wing. And after every score, the price drops by the score amount until the wings are free and the Hogs scores count double. So if you're going to do it for a game, might be this one because the over-under is pretty high. And here are the rules just to make sure everyone understands. You arrive before kickoff. So before 3:15, you arrive, you purchase your first set of 6 wings after your initial discount price, which is $1 a wing. Then after each price drop, you must purchase at least 2 wings. And when wings hit free, you get all you want, but no to-go orders. You know, finish your wings before ordering more. You guys know the rules about this. It's very simple. No sharing. Every fan eats their own. just be a good person is basically what it comes down to. Just be a good person when it comes to your wings and everything that's going on there. But again, yeah, come hang out with us tomorrow. Again, from 2:30, we'll have a post-game show there as well. Going to do a separate post-game show as far as the stream goes. But who knows? Maybe we'll have some fun and find a way for Arkansas to get a victory. It would be kind of cool. But yeah, come hang out. 1214 North Garland Avenue. It's Goat Lab Red there in Fayetteville. And let's go ahead and hear from Dudley Dawson for your recruiting update here on Inside Arkansas.
Covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
Welcome into the Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. I'm your host, Dudley Dawson. And as always, we're sponsored by Goat Lab Brewery. Wanted to talk about a rule change that has happened this week that has taken the transfer portal period from 30 days after a coach has been fired or 30 days after the coach has been hired into a new situation where it has now gone down to 15 days, and it will not open until after 5 days after that coach has left, been fired, or a new coach comes in. So that will give the coaches an opportunity to not only recruit the players that are here, but make sure what they have in terms of whether they want to let them go to another school or not. But that is it's a new thing. It just went into effect this week. Of course, Arkansas, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, those are the schools that have fired their coaches during the midseason. And it applies to them in terms of being grandfathered in with the 30-day thing. What that means is Sam Pittman was let go on September 28th. So Arkansas's players right now have the potential to get into the portal until nearly the end of October. That's 3 more games with the Tennessee game this week, Texas A&M and Auburn, and ahead of the Mississippi State game, which is on November 1st. So that is playing into things a little bit. We'll see how Arkansas uses it, how it develops. But it is an interesting update that I think will help the coaches, whether it's the ones here already or the new one coming in, get a better aspect on what they're doing with their team.
All right, so there's Dudley Dawson of Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. He's battling through some illness this week. Had trouble talking, but glad he's back on it, and it's presented by Goat Lab, so be sure to check out his. I know recruiting's kind of crazy right now because you don't really, have a full-time coach. Don't really know how it's all going to play out, but we'll keep you updated on it, especially once transfer portal season hits and all the commitments that start happening there as well. So appreciate that and appreciate Goat Lab. And again, come on out tomorrow to watch the game with us, 1214 North Garland Avenue. All right, so we'll have a few chats here too, and then we'll hear from Jay Crane. Let's see. Finch just says blue ember is fire, but the burnt ends are the best. So
I can't wait, man.
Yeah, burnt ends are very underrated.
They might, Andrew. They might bring us one of those like the college game day spreads. They bring out there to the crew. We'll see.
Please do.
We'll see what happens.
I need to dabble a little bit. I need my samples before I can really commit.
That's right.
Let's see. Also, Austin says, Curtis, hoops question. I just bought my tickets for the Houston game. What non-con game are you most excited for?
Oh, man. I love all of these. And it would be low-hanging fruit to say Louisville because it's a home game. Duke on Thanksgiving. Like, there's so many different ways you could go. For me, it's Michigan State. I just think that's awesome, man. Going to the Breslin Center, it's a true road game in a, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. Against Tom Izzo, another Hall of Fame coach, a storied program and everything like that. I just think that's really, really cool. And you don't see a lot of that anymore. If you think about it, the home and homes, like when you're going and playing on somebody's campus, in non-conference games, it's usually either one of these like SEC, ACC challenges where they force you to do it, or it just doesn't really happen. And it certainly hasn't happened much with Arkansas. The fact that they're doing this and, you get to run it back in Fayetteville the next year, I think it's great, man. So for me, it's the Michigan State game, but I would not put up a big fight or argument for any of these non-conference games that they've got scheduled. It's going to be a fun slate.
You think the Michigan State game will be cooler than the Miami game last year?
I sure hope so, man.
A little bit better atmosphere.
I sure hope so.
I hope that they continue to do more home and home games. And again, Tom Izzo, just stay not like retired for another year because you have to come to Fayetteville. And I'm just gonna be pissed if it's like his son or some crap that ends up taking over, and that's who comes into Fayetteville next year.
Draymond will be the head coach of Michigan State when they return to Fayetteville.
It seems about right.
That would just be brutal.
Could you imagine?
Let's see. Also, Finch says, can we all just agree that this season is a wash and that we just want to see them show some effort? I don't know if it's a wash because you still have 7 games left, but
you do. I mean, it's trending in that direction. Like realistic best case scenario would probably be a wash, I guess. So I feel you. I understand what you're saying. But I'm with you on the effort front. Like you want to keep me engaged and keep me tuned in and, spend a segment a week talking about the actual matchup as opposed to this coaching search. Play hard. Like give me a reason to want to tune in and think about those things. And I would certainly do it. So I feel you on that last part for sure.
Big picture, it's definitely a wash, but I will say, like, there's a lot of stakes in these games. I mean, if they win 2 of these final games, that's one thing. If they win 3, it's a very different thing. If they win 4, it's like, regardless, the ceiling is like going 6-6 or something like that. But going 6-6 there would be a lot of stakes in that. That would be very different than going 4-8. So I can't call it a wash just yet. I'm just hoping they get to my preseason prediction of 5-7.
Well, they at least I would say they're on their way to something, but technically, I guess they're on their way to 2-10. So probably need a little bit more help when it comes to nothing but SEC games left the rest of the way too. OKC Hog says there's no way that any Hog fan is concerned that Summerall almost lost to East Carolina when Mullen almost lost to an FCS school in week 1. Summerall is 36-10, 13-4 in close games. He is the best hire. So
I would just direct you to my tweet last night on John Summerall, and you'll find a couple dozen Razorback fans who are concerned about how that game went down and are out on Summerall out of nowhere. So
they feel they can and they will feel very strongly about whatever it is they feel.
Absolutely. Now they beat Memphis or something in a week or two, then that'll change. You know how it is. But no, there were a lot of people who saw that result last night and they're like, nope, I'm out. No, sir. No, thanks.
What's funny is they were 7-point favorites and they won by 7. Exactly. Yeah. Which, like, I'm not saying that's like an awesome performance, but it's like that game went exactly how it was supposed to go, even though he said he was disappointed with his team's effort and all that. I didn't think last night was like a bad John Summerall outing necessarily.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. Also, Caleb, he tweeted at us. He said, have you guys talked about the passing of Sister Jean yet? No, we have not. But yeah, Sister Jean, I guess her full name is Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt of Loyola University Chicago. She died at the age of 106. She was a Catholic non-campus minister and official chaplain of the Ramblers men's basketball team. So yeah, sad news, man. 106. I'll be honest. Thought when we saw her, however many years ago, I don't know how much longer we'd see her again, but she outlasted a lot more than what people thought. 106, man, that's crazy amount of age.
That's legit insane. And she worked. Quote, I say whatever we want about her job, like her duties there at Loyola, but like she didn't officially retire from work until like 2 weeks ago. Could you imagine being 106 years old and just, getting up and going to the office every day? Not for me, man. Not for me.
I don't even like working and I'm 27. But no, yeah, I hope all
I don't even have an office to go to. Yeah.
I hope all those players who denied her a fist bump last year as they were walking to the locker room, I hope all of them have a pit in their stomachs today. And I hope they all feel the weight of their actions. Honestly, should we even do March Madness this year?
Yeah, just go ahead and cancel it. Let's go ahead and cancel it without her.
It'll never be the same.
Y'all think Porter Mosier's going to the funeral?
I think so. He released a statement. I haven't read it yet. I saw that he put one out. But I bet he will.
Sister Jean got him a job.
Honestly,
literally,
there's no way he'd be the coach at Oklahoma if Sister Jean didn't exist.
Spotlighted the heck out of that man. And look at him now. They beat Texas Tech in a secret scrimmage yesterday.
They did last night, didn't they? It was a shootout.
Yeah. Which also, I just did a thing. If I tripled my age, I'd just be about her age. So,
man,
wow.
You want to put it into perspective. Like, imagine because you think about it, being 70 years old to me is old.
Yeah.
Imagine being 70 and you got 40 or 36 more years in front of you. Like,
well, think about the life you've lived, John. Could you imagine doing it 2 more times?
Yeah. And I'm sure it'd be go exactly the same way. I don't know. I'm one of those morbid people that I'm like, hey, if I get to a certain age and I can't even do anything. It's like, man, what's if you can't live the life, what is it? But hey, kudos to her for lasting.
I was going to say, I don't know that I would want to live for more than a century, but if I was going to, I would want to do it like her. She was obviously not up running sprints every day or whatever, but she seemed to be, at least for the most part, like still with it. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you get older and older and it's just like you're a shell. You know what I mean? It's just that is not a life that I would want to live, but she was, again, she worked up until a couple weeks ago, man. So
yeah, she was putting in the work no matter what it was. So yeah, pretty iconic, pretty legendary for sure. So, but we know that there are a lot of things going on with the coaching search and with college football and everything. And Jake Crane of Crane and Company, he had some interesting thoughts not only about the coaching search, but also he's a guy that used to be a football coach over at South Alabama and coached against Bobby Petrino when Bobby was at Western Kentucky. And we had a chance to catch up with him talking about that, about Petrino, about the chance he gets the job, but who else would be in the running for the job. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from our guy, Jake Crane of Crane and Company over at the Daily Wire. Right now, we are joined by a very special guest here on Inside Arkansas. As we know, it's all about the coaching search and about who's going to be the next head hog. We don't really know that yet and probably won't know for a while, but we're still going to talk about it with our guy, Jake Crane. He is host of Crane and Company over at the Daily Wire, and it's been too long. Jake, appreciate you joining us, man. How you doing this afternoon?
John, I'm doing great, and for the second time in a row, I think Viola, aka Muffin, is joining us because her mother got called into work again. But no, it's an interesting time at Arkansas because for people that say the games don't matter, it's about the coaching search. Well, the games could affect the coaching search. Therefore, have they ever mattered more?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been trying to dive into this and trying to make sense out of it and trying to put it to Razorback fans where it's like, this is a very unique situation. You know, Arkansas feels like the coaching searches they go through are so unique, but you're talking about a situation where they have 7 games left of the season. They have an interim coach in Bobby Petrino, but let's just start first before we get really into the rest of it. We talked about Sam Pittman this offseason SEC Media Days. Obviously, it just didn't work out, but just what do you think of not only the job Pittman did, but also maybe, you know, why it didn't work out at Arkansas the way that he and others hoped that it would have?
Well, again, you know, I'll join the train of guys that have said, you know, it's unfortunate because Sam's a great dude. I mean, every time we had him on that, you know, he would tell us the truth. He was about as real with us as any head coach will be. And it's unfortunate it didn't work out. But, you know, there was that flicker of excitement early. Obviously, with him, you look at beating Texas and all that brought. But, man, you felt like they never could get over the hump. And then there was just this lack of excitement. Like, and that's something I talked about with you at media days and before the season is that it just feels like even if Arkansas went 7-5 or 8-4, you're not like Sam Pittman to the moon, you know, or like, man, it's the potential here is crazy. It just started to feel like a place filler. And that's what it ended up being. And, you know, again, whether you like the guy or not, you get paid this amount of money. You go to a place like Arkansas, they expect you to win games. And he didn't win enough of them and didn't win enough big ones. So I thought it was the right move by Arkansas, honestly, to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. If I was the 80, that's what I would do. Now, don't even get me started on saying that, well, he didn't have enough resource. The AD saying that's insane. Like, I'm sure everybody realizes how insane that is because then it does 2 things. One, it makes it look like it's your fault. And the second thing it does, if I'm a coach coming to Arkansas, why would I ever come to Arkansas if I have any other decent option? Because the AD's like, yeah, man, look, the race car's not fast enough. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You better find a shortcut like it's Mario Kart. But, you know, I think the lack of excitement is at the end of the day what was the biggest factor. And, you know, Arkansas, to me, again, you know, it's an attractive place to coach. I think all these people that hate on Arkansas, I don't get it. I think it's actually a pretty good gig.
Well, see, I'm glad you brought up the thing with the athletic director, because I think that's where a lot of the issues come from fans, where they're like, man, how did this happen? How did we get to this point? From an outsider's perspective, like, do you have any sort of reasoning as to why people are like, well, he's being honest, but it's like, no, you don't want him to be honest about that, though, if that's the case.
Yeah, look, sometimes it's not good to be honest. You know, when my wife was pregnant, you know, in her 7th, 8th month, and she asked me, do I look big? You know what I said, John? I said, no, you look amazing. You're glowing right now. And then it turns into what's going on right now, live on your screen. But look, I'm all for transparency. I say this about Hugh Freeze. Look, man, you ain't got to tell him everything. You ain't got to tell him how you really feel. Like, give us a little bit. That's fine. Like a decent amount of transparency is good. But that's just kind of a bridge too far because you're kind of screwing yourself on both ends. So I don't know what Hunter's was trying to accomplish by that. Nice guys finish last. Let's be honest. She's going to date the dude that rides a motorcycle and talks bad to her. That's just how it works. So, I don't know, man. That's a new one for me, John. I've seen a lot of guys say a lot of things. He didn't have the resources. Man, I wouldn't have put that one on my bingo card.
Yeah, well, it's something I don't think anyone can really explain at this point. But speaking of riding motorcycles, you have Bobby Petrino is now the interim head coach. Now, listen, this is one of the most chaotic things that I've ever seen, because I never dreamed in a million years that Bobby Petrino would ever be the head coach at Arkansas once again. Now, I know he's the interim, but here he is, 7 games. Arkansas was close in a couple of these, but I mean, what do you make of him being the interim coach? Because in my honest opinion, it's almost like you have a better interim coach than you did a head coach anyways before with Pittman. But what do you make of him being the guy, and how can this change, or will it change at all, the final 7 games of the season?
I wonder what odds you could have gotten after Motorcycle Gate or Volleyball Gate, whatever you want to call it, that Petrino, whether interim or full-time, would ever be the head coach again, let alone at Arkansas. It's insane. It almost reminds me, and I don't know if you've ever seen these movies. Now with her, I have to watch movies like this. Like in the Spy Kids movies, where the villain never gets arrested and they keep him on the team. They're always like, hey man, you tried to take over the world, but we'll let you be the VP. It doesn't matter. But I tell you, there's a part of me, and that's why before we got on air, when I was trying to go over in my mind how old Bobby Petrino is, I still feel like there's more excitement already. Like you feel like Arkansas is more relevant already, because we know that Bobby Petrino can put together a legitimate offense. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, John, I can't remember the last time an interim coach was allowed to fire the DC. So that to me, that's treating you like Hunter wants him to be something. And maybe because he said what he said, it was always going to be Bobby P, because you don't have to pay him a ton because of what happened in the past. And he's already there and he'll take it. So I actually think it's going to be pretty interesting to watch Arkansas the rest of the year, because, really they're playing with house money on defense. But I'm just not sure. If you look at the options that are available, I mean, a guy like John Summerall, right? You can go through some names. I mean, Bobby P knows the lay of the land. He knows how this operation works. Let's just keep him away from volleyball practice and keep him away from the soccer team. And I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it to where if there's certain things that you were missing out on, like these 1-possession games that Arkansas kept losing, it's like, hey, sometimes just the details, and sometimes it's clock management, timeout management, the little things that can make a difference. But it's a matter of with Arkansas knowing the rest of the schedule. You got 7 SEC games. It doesn't get easier because they play Tennessee on the road, who has the best offense in the SEC right now. But is there a certain level of amount of games that Bobby has to win in your mind to be like, okay, you have to give him the job permanently, because he wants the gig. He wants to be the permanent head coach. Is it just wins and losses, or do you need to see some more of that to say, hey, yeah, this guy's the man for the job moving forward?
Man, I think the first thing you see is how the team responds. I think it's more defensively than offensively. Bobby Petrino can get in the kitchen and cook up some points. You're not worried about that. It's how does the team respond to him? I just always go back to watching the Notre Dame team react to Marcus Freeman being named the head coach, and some of these other situations where that happened. Does the team love him, right? Is he a guy? And look, Bobby's not soft and cuddly. Let's be honest. I mean, look, it's somebody who got the game-winning hit off his son in the 12-year-old state championship game at All-Stars when he was the OC at Auburn. I know that he's not the warmest and fuzziest person, but he knows how to structurally get it done. He knows how to, work an organization like Arkansas to be able to win. So if there's a number on it, I mean, if he goes 5-2, you got to give him the job. I think 4-3 is probably good enough. But what if he goes 3-4 or even 2-5, and 2 of those wins are huge, like against teams there's no way they should have beat? That's where I think it gets interesting. And then weighing, what happened in the past with what he has to do to get the job. That's where I find it interesting. Is there, hey, he's got to really blow it out of the water for us to trust him, to be the head coach again? Or maybe it's a redemption story, right? Maybe he learned from his mistakes. I just want to coach ball, man. football. I don't need to ride Harleys, right? I don't need to go out here and be singing karaoke at 11:30 at night. Like maybe again, he's what, 64? Come on, dude. Let's be honest. All right. I know they've made advances in science, but it's time to just focus on the career and then retire. And then, hey, let's move to Florida and let's go to Rocco's and stuff like that.
No, I think a lot of people are with you on that. And I will say the last thing I want your thoughts on Bobby Petrino, because like I'm a huge Petrino fan. When I was at the University of Arkansas as a student was when he was there. And that was arguably, 21-5 in 2 seasons, their only BCS Bowl appearance. I mean, they were great and it was a lot of fun. But I guess I look at Petrino similar to I look at Kiffin, where for whatever reason, he's been a great offensive mind that has gotten it done in different ways for 20 plus years. I mean, right. Yeah. And different types of quarterbacks. Ryan Mallett, rest in peace, was a completely different quarterback from Lamar Jackson, but they both were successful. Why do you think Bobby Petrino, is there anything about him? You're a ball knower. So is there anything about him, his offense, his approach, like what makes him transcend all those decades where so many other offensive minds and gurus and innovators come and go, kind of phase out? What's made him so special?
Well, I think it's a couple things. I think one, he's been able to evolve as the game evolved, but not lose his identity. His offenses have typically been pretty balanced. He's always had kind of a way to get you. Again, we played him when he was at Western Kentucky, when I was at South Alabama, and it was a home game we beat him in. But preparing for him, what he does with the tight end, it's almost like magic, like the way he's able to understand matchups. But I think his biggest, I would say, positive quality is, the best play callers call plays to set you up for later in the game. Like, yes, you want to score right now. Yes, you want to be able to dial it up all the time. You want your opening script to be awesome and go down there and score. And a lot of times with Bobby, it is. But he will call a play. And Lane Kiffin is also really good at this. And so is Lincoln, to be honest with you. You remember those times where we'd see Lane Kiffin hold up his clipboard, like during a play halfway through the third quarter? Because he knows, like, even before the guy's open, that he called a play in the first quarter to do this again to you later in the game. Bobby does that in droves. Like, there's 4 or 5 times a game where he may call a play that gets 2 yards or 3 yards, or there's some sort of pre-snap motion that has led to a big tendency for 3 games that he's going to call in the first half, just so you think every time it's coming. And then he hits you with a big play late in the game. He's always got 3 or 4 of those that he's got dialed up and ready to go. So I think it's those things. He's able to evolve without losing his identity. And then he's just setting you up. It's a Scooby-Doo episode. But every time you pull the mask off in the fourth quarter, it's Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, well, last one before I let you get out of here then. Moving on from Petrino, there's all these names get thrown around. Is there any coach that you feel like is realistic, that you look at it with, be like, man, that guy at Arkansas, that would make sense. That would fit. Like, is there any names that come to mind for you?
There's 2. And they've got Auburn connections, John.
Uh-oh. I don't know about this then.
Gus Malzahn, right?
Hey, 5th time's a charm. 5th time's a charm. Try it out again.
Yeah, come on, man. Just look. Does Darren McFadden got a kid, or Felix Jones? No, to be honest with you, I think they need to go outside the family. I really think they need to. I think they need to go young. And that's not a Bobby Petrino joke. It's just it's 100% serious. When you look around the country, and again, I know there's a connection here. I think taking a look at Kendall Briles, legitimately giving him a shot, at least in an interview to see how you like him, because I think you need an offensive guy. I don't think you need a defensive guy. Summerall at Tulane is an obvious answer, but to be honest, I think he's waiting for something bigger. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to Arkansas. He's the first guy in line for a lot of big-time ADs right now. Really outside of that, I know a lot of people want Rhett Lashley, but if I'm Rhett, why? Why would I do that? Like, SMU's got more money than God. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that. And you're in the ACC. You made the playoff last year. I tell you, I think it should be a young guy, an offensive guy. That's why I look at Kendall. Garrett Riley, I don't think's ready yet. And we can go down the list of what the Rileys have done, but I would go young and offensive. That's what I would do.
Well, whoever it is, hopefully the AD is able to financially support them and set them up for success. I think that's good.
You almost got to go young now because you said that. What do you think? Some old guy or some guy that's getting like Signetti's going to be like, yeah, Yeah, for sure. No resources. Pfft, I love it. I did it in Indiana. No, he ain't going in the S. You're not coming in the SEC without the resources. That don't matter unless you're young, right? And you're like, all right, let's just go do it. It's a great opportunity. And I feel like they've got to go that way, or just keep Bobby P. Man, we'll see what happens. You never know, dude. You never know.
You never know with Arkansas because it's always chaotic and crazy. There's no doubt, but it's going to be fun.
You never know with an 8-month-old who's using me like a jungle gym. You said you were going to be good.
I'd say you got a workout in, man. But hey, we love having you, love talking with you, love talking ball. It's Jay Crane of Crane and Company of the Daily Wire, as well as Muffin making an appearance once again. But hey, man, but we appreciate it, dude, and it's gonna be fascinating to see. Who knows? Maybe Bobby P turns the whole world upside down and gets it going for Arkansas later this year. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, look, if it is Bobby P, you got 3 head coaches. One's 65, the other one's 64, the other one's 64. At some point, Saul Goodman's going to come try and sell you something.
Yeah, let's hope so, man. Appreciate you as always, Jake.
John, thanks, buddy. Keep killing it.
All right, that was Jay Crane of Crane and Company, as well as of the Daily Wire, talking about, I don't know about his take about Gus Malzahn or Kendall Briles, but hey, why not? I'm sure that everybody would take that with stride and be excited about having Kendall Briles return home. Get all the offense coordinators back. You got Bobby back, Kendall Briles back, Joe Craddock with John Summerall. Just keep adding them. Just keep adding them all to the mix. So, but hey, that's what makes this coaching search fun. I don't really know. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
See you tomorrow at Goat Lab Red. Looking forward to that for the watch party out there. It's going to be a good time. And then obviously, if you're going to Hot Springs for the tip-off tour, come to Blue Ember Smokehouse afterwards. You're going to want to eat. You're going to be hungry. So come out there and do that. If you're not going to Hot Springs, you probably aren't going to be able to watch the tip-off tour. You're not going to be able to see it. Like, they're not streaming it. It's not going to be on SEC Network Plus or something. So if you want to hear all the details and our takeaways and analysis from it, then tap into the live stream. It'll be 5-ish o'clock. It'll depend on kind of when they wrap things up and we get over there to Blue Ember. But should be a good time. We're looking forward to it, and hopefully we see some folks out there.
Yeah, I'm excited about really everything this weekend. I'm hoping to see some folks at Bomb. If you see me at Bomb, say what's up. If you see us in Hot Springs, come see us at Blue Ember. If you see us at the game, say what's up. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. We really haven't – we've done watch parties before, but we haven't done this for football. So this is kind of a unique experiment for us. I know some people have their preferences of, I'm going to watch at home or I got to do this or whatever. But if you're not watching our stream on YouTube, I feel like there's no reason for you to not be at Goat Lab. It's seriously like the best Arkansas man cave you can imagine to watch the game, and you get the cool wing deal. So really hoping we can see a lot of you this weekend. Appreciate you guys for always tapping in and supporting, and it's going to be a great Woo Pig weekend, as they say.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait for that at Goat Lab tomorrow. Yeah, once again, be sure to come hang out with us. Great progressive wing deal. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully the game ends up being a lot of fun. But no matter what, whether it's pregame, postgame, during the game, keep it right here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also check out all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast, as well as our Inside Arkansas Football Podcast. Got it all going on there, and as well as on social media at Inside Arkansas. So that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, as well as intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great rest of your day and night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at Goat Lab.